Hey guys, Troubletcat here recording for the Zombie Arcade, and today we're taking a look at the M60E4 with no attachments except for, of course, the standard bipod. And it does feel good to me to be going back to this old setup. I'm showing you guys a whole game here, which started out really rough, but ended up being a pretty close game, a pretty good game, all things considered. I didn't do amazingly well, but it was a nice match, and I decided, I'll use this one! But before we get into talking about the match, or the gun of the game, or any of that stuff, we of course are going to talk about the M60 in real life. The M60 is an American-made machine gun designed after World War II and adopted by the U.S. Army in 1957 as a replacement for the Browning automatic the Browning automatic rifle and the Browning machine gun in their respective roles. So it's like the M240B, which we talked about in the last video. The weapon's used both as a squad-level automatic weapon and as a vehicle-mounted weapon. It's designed to be accurate, fired from the shoulder, from a bipod or tripod, or from a vehicle mount. It's actually been used in every branch of the U.S. military and by several other countries over the years. It's mostly been phased out within the U.S. military in favor of the M240. I think I mentioned this in the last video, although some units and vehicles still do make use of the M60 or an M60 variant. It fires the same 7.62 by 51mm NATO round that the M240 uses at around 600 rounds a minute with an effective range of about 1 kilometer, which is pretty cool. The early models of the M60s, the E1, particularly had a lot of design flaws. In fact, they had so many problems that throughout Vietnam, a lot of units kept using their Browning automatic rifles despite the fact that the M60 was, the new thing. Because the BARs didn't have so many problems. Basically, it had a bunch of different issues that could cause weapon jams. It had a few problems with changing the barrel in combat, particularly the fact that there wasn't a handle on the early models to hold when you changed the barrel, so you kind of had to just grab onto the barrel, and you need to wear these asbestos gloves that got lost a lot, and were made of asbestos. And it was pretty heavy for a squad-level weapon as well, which made it somewhat unwieldy, as well as being pretty damn long. It should be noted that despite its size, the M60 was lighter than a lot of other 7.62 machine gun designs at the time. And it is lighter and shorter than the M240, which eventually replaced it. As I said, the main reason the M240 replaced this wasn't to deal with the size and weight issue. The M240 is just a lot more reliable than the M60. Although, a lot of these problems were fixed in new versions of the M60. So the E4, which is the latest version, has reduced weight, improved reliability, and comes in a variety of barrel lengths. We're told the version shown in BF3 is the M60E4, which is the latest version designated as the M60, but it appears to be a newer variant of the weapon, which is called the Mark 43 Mod 1, and is used by the US Navy. The reason we know this is the M60E4, like earlier M60s, it doesn't have a rail system for mounting optics or other attachments, and it comes with a fixed bipod and a fixed forward grip. So the version of the weapon we get in the game, however, has a Picatinny rail system, and it doesn't have a fixed foregrip. You can mount a foregrip on it. There's a removable one in real life, but it doesn't have one fixed on there. So those are features that are unique to the Mark 43 Mod 1 in the M60 family. I'm guessing DICE went with the name M60E4 because it's a more recognizable name for most players. It's a really recognizable machine gun. A lot of people are familiar with the M60. And aside from those minor differences, the weapons are pretty much identical. The Mark 43 Mod 1 is basically just a variation on the M60E4. Despite the age of the design, many countries around the world still use the M60, and although it's not quite as prolific as the FN Minimi or FN Mag variants on the modern battlefield, so the US military designations for those are the M249 and the M240. We've done videos on both of those weapons. The M60 still remains one of the more widely used machine guns on the modern battlefield. So, that's the gun in real life. In the game, I'm getting stabbed in the chest. In the game, I quite like the M60. Like the M240, I think I prefer this to the M240, I'll say straight away. Like the M240, it's got quite a lot of kick to it, but it's more accurate than the M240, and it's got a lower rate of fire, which makes that high kick a bit easier to control. It does the same damage, 30 damage at close range, as the M240, as it does use the same round. But yeah, I just find that the M60 as a result of the lower rate of fire, is a bit more controllable, a bit more usable, and that's sort of important to be able to control your recoil. I don't really care for the iron sights on the M60, but it's worth noting that I think a lot of people don't realize this. If you have the bipod deployed on a machine gun or just any weapon, hipfire actually becomes really accurate, and if you don't like the iron sights, you can actually hipfire if you've got a bipod down, and it's pretty much the same level of accuracy, and you can see a lot more, although you don't get the minor zoom of aiming down sight. So that's just something I thought I'd note for you guys. This gun works pretty well in a lot of different attachment setups. We'll take a look at a couple in later videos. But I find this gun works really good both as a defensive and as an offensive weapon. I think it works a little bit better as a rushing gun than the M240 does or the PKP. And you might think that's kind of odd because it doesn't quite have the damage of the PKP at close range, and it doesn't have the rate of fire of the M240. But the low rate of fire on it actually makes it really, really controllable when you slap a foregrip on there, and it still does high enough damage, high enough DPS that you can take people out close up fairly comfortably. I mean, you see here a fair bit of footage of me using it with the bipod not down, shooting people up, and if you have a foregrip, that becomes even more effective. Stuff like this at medium range without the bipod down can be kind of tricky. See, they're getting my ass handed to me by FAMAS. In fact, that guy with the suppressed FAMAS with the foregrip and the red dot sight, I can't actually read his name in my preview window. That dude killed me a ton of times. He was actually the main reason this game was so close. He was a really good player, and pretty much carried his entire team towards victory. And, I mean, if he hadn't been there, this game probably would have been pretty lopsided in my team's favor. But as you can see, we got pushed back to this second-last phase really quickly, and we're having a little bit of a hard time holding on. The bomb keeps getting planted. You saw I had to be a big damn hero there and go in and defuse, and I was able to do that. But yeah, this was a really close game. There's a lot of action. It was really quite good, which is why I decided to use it, even though, you know, my personal ratio wasn't that amazing. I think the most important thing, I mean, I do try to get videos where I have a good ratio so that, you know, you can really see what the gun can do in sort of clutch situations and stuff like that, and just in general. But I think the most important thing is just to get like a nice, interesting game with a lot of action and a lot of fiery explosions if possible, such as, well, you didn't actually see the explosion there. You just kind of saw the rocket flying off. But I'm gonna claim that was a fiery explosion that was in the video. That was right. Zenith OGN. And you can see here he comes around flanking us on Grand Bazaar. Just really good play in general from this guy. Props to him. You know, it'd be easy to sort of be annoyed about getting my ass kicked by him all the time, but no, just props to that dude for, you know, flanking and getting in there and getting done. I did kill him a few times. I don't know. I committed suicide there. I'm not sure how. If any of you guys know how I actually killed myself there or picked up on that, please leave a comment, because I have no idea. I'm wondering if maybe I had a claymore behind me and something set it off and then it killed me, but I'm not sure. I don't really think that could have happened. I'm not sure how that would have gone down. What would have set my claymore off? So if you have any idea how I actually killed myself there, do let me know, because that confused me at the time, and even now watching through the game again, it still kind of confused me. But no matter, getting sprayed down by good old Zenith there again. I should have picked up the kill there, but I didn't quite see him in the tree there. I saw movement, but then I thought it was just the tree swaying, but actually, it was my enemy, and he shot bullets from the gun into my face. Hipfire on this gun is not enormously accurate. You see me switching to iron sights halfway through there. You don't want to hipfire with this. Maybe if you slap a laser sight on there, but yeah, I mean, I guess laser sights tend to make hipfire with any gun except for sniper rifles pretty damn solid. I've actually had a few comments on videos when I'm live streaming telling me I hipfire too much. Nope. That's pretty much my only reaction to that. I mean, sometimes, yes, I hipfire when I shouldn't, but for the most part, hipfire in this game is actually a lot more accurate than I think most people realize. There are some classes of weapons, like machine guns, where it's not generally that good, but if you have a laser sight on there, even machine guns, you can hipfire quite accurately. You can take people out at 15-20 meters with hipfire if you have a laser sight, and if you're not spraying wildly, if you're bursting and controlling your shots. I can kill people hipfiring about as fast as I'd be able to if I zoomed in. So I just, you know, if you're more comfortable when you're aiming down sights, then do that. But if you're quite comfortable firing from the hip, there's actually no reason not to hip fire in this game at close range. You'll shoot a wider pattern than if you aim down sights, it's true. But particularly if you got a laser sight, you're still not going to shoot a pattern bigger than a dude's torso. So if your aim's good and your aim is, you know, on center mass or on his face, you're going to get enough shots on target to kill him about, you know, as quickly as you would have if you'd aimed down sights. Maybe a little bit faster, because sometimes switching from hip to aiming down sights can fuck up your aim. I don't know why I'm talking about this in this video, though, considering, as I just said, the M60, you don't want to fire from the hip. As you can see, as I used to do, I left in all my deaths and all my kills in this game, so there are a few moments where I just kind of lived and then died immediately that I have left in. Not artificially enhancing my play in post-processing. Post-processing. In editing in general. As I tended to do with the videos that were conglomerations of games, I did get rid of a lot of deaths in those, because I was just using bits and pieces of games here and there. But now I'm actually going to have to play relatively well again if I want to get good footage. It's a complete tragedy. So that's the end of this game. My team did end up winning there. We got pushed back really quickly to that second last phase, but we did manage to hold on. There were a few close calls, but we turned out to be the better dudes in the end. They only had one guy on their team who was really solid, and we had a lot of guys who were just sort of good all-around players. Not amazing, but who could get the job done in a pinch. So, you know, we ended up pulling it off. I've gone back to leaving my stat screen in now that I'm just doing one game again, so you guys can see what awards I got and what my stats were like for those of you who are interested in that kind of stuff and don't want to watch my videos if I'm a massive noob. Actually got less than a 2KD in this game, so I'm pretty terrible, I guess. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks. Until next time, when we take a look at some different attachments with the M60, Troubletcat out.